Ghibli Fest continues with now My Neighbor Totoro, a legendary movie. It even has the mascot. It's a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go see it, Ghibli Fest is still going on for the rest of the year, and it may never happen again, unless it's the anniversary of things again. But yeah, go find Totoro if you haven't seen it. Link in the description below. And then go to the theaters and watch it there while you still can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you haven't seen My Neighbor Totoro, it's a classic. And the Ghibli Fest, I'm not sure exactly whereabouts it's doing it, but it's in Canada, and we have it in our city, and it's playing one movie every month in theaters for the entire month because it's the 35th anniversary of Kiki's and something.
25th
Nausicaa, or maybe that reverse.
Yeah.
Or 15th, maybe. Keith. Anyway, it's epic.
Arrietty is next. Go watch it.
It would be best that they did this every year.
Yeah.
Because seeing these movies on the big screen and the subtlety of the drawings, and like every time we watched Totoro, it's only playing in our city 2 showings. I don't know how many we'd go see if it was like every day, like some places. But you see it. We saw it once in English and then once in Japanese with subtitles. And the second time, for me, it was like somehow I immersed myself in it as if I wasn't even knowing the story, and I was just like in the moment with the kids, and how like there's just so much life in every moment of the show. And
it was the reverse for me, where the first time I saw it, it had been so long since I saw it that I couldn't really remember most of it, and I didn't think I was like, it's not one of my in my top favorite movies or Ghibli's order. After seeing it, I was like, no, it probably is. And then the second time I was able to just almost admire it more because it was just like better than I remembered. Yeah.
Yeah, and the animation, we talked a bit about the animation right after seeing it, and just like you'll have the smallest little scene where May runs towards the house, and she just the angle of the camera's super cool, and then just the way she's so animated in her run that, and it's only like 1 second, and it just brings her to the door.
Her running was amazing. May's running, the little kid. I want a video game where you get to play some kind of robot suit that runs like that, or like just as a child and jump through the trees the way she does. Because her running just has some power to it, or something that can only really be done in 2D animation, where it's like you have those freeze frames of when the feet hit the ground.
Yeah,
it's just so solid.
We had talked about there's a trailer for Frozen coming up, or the second Frozen movie during these Ghibli films, and the run is about as good as they could make it in 3D, but where she's on a beach and she's running towards the water, and yet there's some impact that's just missing. Like you just can't animate as well.
No matter how much squash and stretch you add or what you do, like even if you do squash and stretch 3D models a lot or whatever it is, it still loses that almost immediacy of like the whole thing was specifically drawn to be like the impact of the foot or whatever, and instead it's always splashed up with particle effects. Like on her feet there's ice particles coming out, and it's like that in almost every 3D movie. In Toy Story they run like toys and it's okay, but in a lot of other movies there's no impact to a lot of the motions, and instead that impact is made with like a screen shake or particle effects.
Yeah.
And in 2D obviously you're not going to get
3D is great, but I really would like 2D animation like Ghibli's quality to come back as as best as it could, because there's just something about it that's so magical. And
it really is like a care thing, like a care in the subtleties. We were talking about a couple scenes when the trees are like growing really fast. It's so perfectly animated, like properly and smoothly, and it's just there's so much nuance in the detail, like as if they've looked at so many trees as they were growing and like tried to map out this stuff, and like the way it's done is so careful, and like it just looks right. And then most other anime they would flash it up with like some kind of cool whoosh, zipping effects, whatever it is, or when the cat bus is running across the field, it shows the cat bus kind of coming towards the granny and stuff, and then running past the nanny, and in that it's all properly drawn as like just grass and field, and the nanny getting further and further away and coming closer. And in other anime they would just like make some whooshing effect of like a zoom or something. But if you just draw what the thing is, it looks really good because it's already this crazy thing of speed, and it just they draw that instead of the whooshing and stuff.
Yeah, there's just so much specific
specification
of the of why they're drawing something, and like James commented on like just the single expression on Satsuki when she like lifts Mei up a little higher on her back, like as a piggyback thing, and it's like there's so much else you could look at in that frame, yet that one character is so specific. And I was noticing that throughout, just the feeling and the emotion that they get, and the realism that they're able to portray, even though it's done in this cartoon way that's through every moment, is just so incredible. And like even on the way there, I was like looking outside at the sun on the landscape, and I was thinking, how do you portray that heat that you can feel when you like are in the heat in this vibrant spot? And I was thinking, does Totoro have that? Like in the first time I watched it, did it have that? And then there was a moment, second time watching it, I was like, they got it. Like she's running around the fields, and it was like this hotness, and it was so clear that it was just hot. It was that hot. Yeah.
Funny side note too about like just the difference between Ghibli and other animation is like during the trailers there's this little preview to another one by a good studio, like I think it's Trigger, they do Fire Force or whatever, and it's a trailer for that, but it's just like this really just cheesy stuff with like, I will destroy you with my burning soul or whatever, and like all this crazy flashing stuff. There's no background to it, it's just like replaced with big color particle effects and stuff. It's just such a contrast to have that, and then suddenly it's showing Arietti and just this subtlest motion of like her turning her head. It almost, a person just looks like they would have turned their head that way, and the hair would have moved that way. It's almost like they just know what things look like and do it properly.
Yeah.
Where the other one is just like big hair, big lights, flashy.
We're also saying in the end of the movie, kind of where she's running around looking for Mei. Spoilers. She every time they show her, it's not just her running like robotically. There's so much emotion, and there's like the way she's breathing or like coughs or stutter.
It's progression. It's so subtle.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just like somebody running and then after a while they're like tired. It's like a progression of all the natural things that do happen of running like that distance.
Even like the beauty of animation is, and I mean filmmaking too, but animation you have to draw everything exactly how you'd like it and aim for that essence. And there's one moment that I realized I knew the story already, right? The second time watching it, or more than that second. But when Mei loses her sandal, or they think she's lost her sandal, they find a sandal in a pond, and they think like maybe Mei wandered into the pond or something. And during that scene, I was realizing like I know vaguely what her sandal looks like, simply because there's one like less than a second shot, basically maybe a couple seconds or whatever, that she's putting on her sandals to leave to go run away kind of thing to the hospital. And it's like it was so interwoven that I barely even realized how I knew it. I just knew that I knew it, and I didn't have to think about it.
And they're showing those scenes all the time,
just to know that way of getting into the person's mind so much that they don't even pay attention. It's not like exposition, where exposition would be the opposite of this, where it's like this is going to happen and this is why it's happening or whatever. Where this is just like you're just in it and you just know. It's almost it internally.
Yeah, it's basically like there's because of that care and craftsmanship and just really the attention to subtleties. Because if you didn't pay attention to the subtleties, you wouldn't be able to make the story that fulfilling. Is like you get to know the story really well. Like your way around that house so well, almost immediately. And every turn they take into that house, it's like, okay, I know what's here now, because there's so much care into that subtlety of where everything is. If it's just like vague blocks and whatever, then you wouldn't figure out your way around the first time around. But you do get it the very first time you see it. You know your way around,
and it's interwoven into the story. It's not just a well-designed house that where everything is.
Good structure.
It's like, it's not just that they've thought about every room in the house. It's the fact that they actually incorporate that into the story, and that she runs around and they play in the house and they
run past the
close the doors and incorporate that into the thing, and
crawling under steps, shaking beams.
There's other interesting things about the English versus Japanese, and I noticed, just like most of the other Ghibli movies, if not all, that we've seen in both languages, the main character Satsuki is more mature in the Japanese version, just a little bit. They do a really good job in the English version, but it's just there's that higher level of like things like the dad not saying like, can you find the back door of the house? Can you do it? Kind of thing. And rather just like, we need the back door unlocked. Like, can you find it? You know, and it's just the subtle tone difference and things like, you know, yeah, it's just those little things really change the essence. But they do such a good job in English too that it's
really well done.
Yeah.
Go watch it. Go watch the movie.
Go watch it.
Do it.